they love and joy and ride? Can I see your hands? Well, there's several. How many of those of us who are a little older had ponies when we were boys and girls? Can I see your hands? Well, that's a few more, isn't it? We must be living in... Were there ponies back here? Oh, this is the group I should have been looking at, isn't it? I want to tell you a story this morning that surrounds a little pony that my folks bought for my brother and I when I was 10 years old. We had, when I say we, my brother and I had been after our parents for some months to buy us a pony. And finally, Mother and Father consented, and I remember one Friday we had seen one advertised in the paper up at Elsinore. That's about 40 miles from our hometown. And Father had called the man and talked to him, and over the phone it sounded like just the pony that we were looking for. So Father took my brother and I out of school that afternoon, and we drove up to Elsinore and out to the farm. And just the moment that my brother and I laid eyes on this horse, we fell in love with him. You know, I believe in love at first sight when it comes to horses, at least. I don't know about the other. But we said, this is the horse, just as soon as we saw him. The man put a bridle on him and saddled him up, and we rode him around his farm there, and we talked to the man, and his children had grown up and left home. The horse was 8 years old, and he just was everything that we desired. So we bought him. It was Friday afternoon, and we wanted him to come home with us. But we hadn't taken a truck, you know, and there was no way to haul him home, and my brother and I sort of felt bad about that, and the man that we were buying him from had a truck, and he agreed to deliver him. So long before sundown, Prince had arrived at our farm. He was a sorrel-colored horse with a white star in his forehead. Had some Welch in him, and I don't know what else. He wasn't a purebred by a long way, but a beautiful horse, and a very intelligent horse. And one that my brother and I started taking especially good care of. We had other horses on the farm, but Prince always got a little extra feed and a little extra attention. And we enjoyed riding him. But we hadn't had him too many days, until we discovered that Prince had a characteristic about him that my brother and I were not able to control. And that characteristic was you could be going down across the field or the pathway or the road or whatever, and if something happened, Prince was going the other direction, just that fast. And I have been left suspended in midair for just a few seconds. You know, I didn't stay there long, but several times. I remember one time I was going after the cattle one evening, and I was riding down along the field where the creek ran, and a group of ducks flew up. And they went this way, we were going that way, and the first thing I knew, Prince was going that way, and I was still looking this way, you know, still there. When we fell off, he always stopped and started grazing and looked back at us as if to say, you know, you poor guys, what's wrong with you? He never ran away. He would always stop. We'd catch him, get back on, and go on. Mother and Father always marveled at how he took care of Ray and I, because when we fell off, which as the years went by, or months, became quite often, he would always stop and wait for us. My brother and I talked about this a great deal, and we said, you know, we've just got to learn to sit on tighter. Father wouldn't let us have a saddle. He had some very valid reasons for it. When he was a boy, a neighbor boy had a little pony and started to get on one time, and his foot slipped through the stirrup, and the pony went home, and the boy went along, but he was drugged, and he was dead by the time he arrived home. So Father never allowed us to ride with a saddle. It was always bareback. And we even had to have the reins untied, you know. Father was very particular. He said, when you fall off, we want you to hit the ground, all in one piece. One day, my brother and I were to take Father's lunch to him in the field, and we were riding double. My brother was sitting behind me, and he had Father's lunch. And as we were riding out across the fields, we were talking about how Prince turned around so fast, And we were determined that we were going to just overcome this. As we were going across the field that had been mowed for hay earlier in the season, Father and Uncle John were moving the combine down the end of that field. Now, this was before the days when we had self-propelled combines. This was a pull-type Alice Chalmers combine. There was a lot of tin on it. And when it went over a rough place, that tin would flap, you know. And this had happened a couple times, and Prince had always sort of jumped, but we'd hung on. And we were galloping across that field, and that combine made another terrible shake. And Prince went the other way. Now, we had determined to hang on. And I was holding on to his mane. My brother was holding on to me. Those of you that have seen my brother, and that's probably not too many, wouldn't know that he's my brother. He's a lot shorter, but he's a lot more this way too. And I just couldn't counterbalance his weight. And I went off. Lunch, brother, and me. But you know, we had been so conscious of this that I hung on to one of the reins. And when we went off, the horse turned around and he put his foot right in the middle of my brother's sack. Now, we were close enough that Father and Uncle John saw what was going on. And they shouted to me, "Turn loose of the horse! Let him go!" But I hung on. And you know, Prince put his foot right in the middle of Ray's back. But he recognized what had happened. And he just stumbled and put no weight there. We got up laughing. But I'll tell you, Father was running, and he wasn't laughing. You know, boys and girls, horses are very intelligent. It's just a miracle that at least we didn't get some broken arms or legs or back or something. But we were never hurt. We took lots of spills. He stepped on us a few times after that. He stepped on me one time. But when he did, he always recognized something was wrong and didn't put much weight down. God has given the animal kingdom an instinct. I believe they have a language all of their own. But you know, God has given you and me far more than an instinct. He has given us reasoning power. And as we think of our mind and the abilities that God has given to us, I would admonish the boys and girls and those of us who are just a bit older to use them and to understand. Prince didn't put his weight on my brother's back because he understood. Let's you and I use our God-given talents in the way that God gives them to us.